What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Payne. Welcome back to another DC Heroes and Villains video. Alright guys, going over the top 3-star and 4-star units in the game, the ones you want to focus on and the ones that will give you the most success. And we're going to start off with the 3 stars first. So first and foremost, you've heard me talk about her to death, Waller. Amanda Waller is easily one of the top units in the game. Period. She could have been a 4-star, a 5-star. She could be a 6-star. Her buffs are bar none, probably unbeatable in this. And I am afraid that they may eventually nerf her because of how good she is for a 3-star. Now, what makes her so impressive? Let's talk about a few things. So number one, when Amanda Waller loses HP, she fills her power gauge by 150% of the percentage of the HP she loses, meaning she's going to be doing these buffs very often. At the start of the battle, she converts 4 random tiles into purple tiles. Let me break this down to you guys. When I did the first battle with her, I had 8 tiles lined up right from the get-go, all purple, and I had a full purple team. So everybody was popping off. Everybody got their super almost instantly. So she is insane when it comes down to controlling the board as a purple unit. But on top of that, she actually gives you a power move that is probably, like I said, bar none, the best buffs in the game. So she grants a heal over time to herself for 2 turns, which is great, so it keeps her alive. She also does damage to a single target unit with this, and she also does, which I don't know why they don't say that here, to be honest with you, there is damage involved with it too, because she just points at the person and they take hits, so they're big finger. She grants attack up buff on all allies for 6 turns. She grants critical up on all allies for 6 turns, making all allies also perform an assist attack. I think that's what that move is, to be honest with you. If you guys don't know the percentages, I did a video yesterday on buffs and debuffs. I actually covered hers there. I believe it's 30% or 33% or something crazy like that for crit. I think it's 30%. Crit and 30% attack for 6 turns. That is nuts. So out of all the 3-star guys, she should be your number one focus. Easily, like, get her working, and she pairs really well and synergizes with practically anybody, but especially purple units, and there are many purple units in the game that shine. Okay, and we'll go through a few of those as well too. Next up, Katana. Katana is an incredible DPS for a 3-star. If you are looking at a warrior to build, she is really, really good. So first off, each time she kills an enemy, she receives an accumulative 10% bonus to a dodge, attack, crit, and crit damage, and it stacks up to 3 times. So if you kill 3 enemies with her, which is pretty easy to do because there's always like 12 or 10 enemies on the screen, well, not on screen, but in total, kill 3 with her, you'll get 30%. Add Waller to this, she now gets 60% attack and 60% crit damage up, which is insane amounts of damage, guys. So alone her passive makes her worthwhile. Now her power move, she does a single damage dealing attack to at 129% at level 4. It'll go higher. This attack cannot be dodged while Halo is an ally. So if you have Halo, even better. Inflict dodge down on the opponent for 4 turns and inflict a damage over time debuff on the opponent for 2 turns. So 4 turns to 2 turns work really, really well. That damage over time is even better for her because it'll chip away at the opponents that she can kill, and then eventually she'll get her passive buff. An amazing 3-star unit, one that you should not be sleeping on. Okay, so Katana, really, really good. Enchantress, one of the best healers still in the game, in my opinion. Okay, so her passive here, green tiles have a 10% chance to spawn. Amazing for a green team, by the way. At the start of each turn, Enchantress, this is like 30% less than Riddlers, just so you guys are aware. Enchantress has a 100% chance to sacrifice 5% of her own HP to grant heal over time buff on the lowest HP ally for 2 turns. Really, really good. But this ally has to not have a buff as well, too, so keep that in mind, okay? Power move. Attack a single enemy, 90% damage, heal all allies by 10% of her max HP. So, honestly, decent 3-star healer, your go-to for quite some time because you get her right from the beginning, and she'll kind of be used for quite a bit of time until you get someone like Poison Ivy or where is he? Ultra Humanite, and a few other healers here that will kind of replace her. Okay, but for a long time, Enchantress is your go-to. All right, another 3-star here, Gorilla Grodd. Okay, he is a Sentinel type. When another ally falls under 30% HP, generates a barrier on that ally of 7% of his max HP. At the start of the battle, he gives you 4 red tiles. So really, really good for a red team and a good tank to have around. Attacks all enemies, damage multiplier 70% per hit. there is a 50% chance to do lockdown debuff on all targets for 1 turn, grants taunt for him for 3 turns. Now, if you don't know what lockdown does, I covered it in my debuff video. It prevents you from doing any super moves, okay, or any special moves. So really, really good tank for a 3-star, especially for red teams. And speaking of another a good tank for red teams, Cyborg's actually not bad. No, he's immune to critical hits, which is great. At the start of battle, each time he performs a power move, Cyborg generates a barrier on himself, so he keeps himself alive. And also, he can target enemies with stealth buff, which is good. It's a single target attack. It also grants a taunt buff on himself for 6 turns. Just be careful though, because there are units also that can take away taunt and harm tanks with that many turns. So just be careful. But he is actually really good. He's also part of the Justice League. So if you plan to use them as a faction together to do a synergy attack, you might want to build him up as well too. Okay, so that right there are some of the best ones. Catwoman, also no slouch, by the way. Really good dodge unit. Has a good chance to increase her dodge up for quite some time. She gives herself dodge up right away for 3 turns in the beginning of battle. And also her power move does attack down and also removes all buffs from the target. So you get her as a pre-registration package. Honestly, part of a purple team with Waller. Worth building. And I believe, if I recall, they are actually part of, no, they're not part of the same. Her and Huntress are part of the same. And Huntress is somebody we're going to cover as well too. So those are some of the best 3-star units. I would put Cheshire in here as well. She synergizes really well with Katana and anyone who does damage over time. The reason why is she has a stealth on herself, which keeps her alive longer. Also, her power move, she does more damage on anyone who has damage over time. She does damage equal to 5% of their max HP. So really, really good unit to pair with Katana. Good for a green team as well. If you're looking to build a green team, she's a good, solid 3-star unit to do so, okay? So those are your best 3-star units in the game at the moment that you should focus on. The rest of them are a little bit more niche. Copperhead's actually pretty decent himself, as if you're looking for a light unit. He is immune to crits. He does have a dodge up for himself for 5 turns. He does do single target damage over time debuff for 7 turns, which is actually really, really high. He also crits critical down debuff for 5 turns and vulnerability. Vulnerability is another debuff I covered, and that doesn't that makes the opponent take damage equal from all different colors. So really good debuff for a 3-star unit. So yeah, if you're looking for something with a light faction with a lot of good debuffs and pretty decent survivability, Copperhead's pretty good. And I'd say he's worth building for sure, actually, as a 3-star. So I'd go number 1 for sure, okay? Number 2 for Katana. Number 3 for Enchantress. Number 4 for Gorilla. Number 5 for Cyborg. Number 6 for Copperhead. And number 7 for Catwoman. So those are your big 7. And put Cheshire in there for number 8 if you're looking for that, okay? Now, let's go over to the 4 stars. This is going to be important. Now, I'm going to do a 5-star video on its own, okay? I think they deserve their own place, and we'll talk about that, and eventually I'll do a tier list. So, in my opinion, the number 1 4-star character in the game is going to be the Flash. Simply because, number 1, he builds his super bar super quick, and number 2, he has the haste buff. When the haste buff actually gives you 33% chance or 33% more power regen for your entire team for 2 turns, and it's incredible how fast you build your super bar. So I think the Flash for sure deserves the number 1 spot for 4 stars in my opinion. Number 2, I probably would go with, it's a tough one. There's a couple good options here. Either Parasite or Beast Boy. Now, as a tank, I think there's no better tank out there than Beast Boy. Personally, he has a taunt for 2 turns. He fills up the power gauge of all allies. If it's Teen Titans, it gives you 15%. He has a massive AoE damage dealing attack. And he also grants buff on himself, the taunt on himself. And he has a lot of it. He has a massive HP pool. So I love Beast Boy. I love pairing him with Raven and other units that are Teen Titans like Blue Beetle. So no slouch at all. Let's go to, speaking of Blue Beetle, not a bad one. Probably the best barrier unit outside of Cersei. Yeah, Cersei's being the 5-star, obviously, but he does have pretty decent stuff. At the start of the turn, he has a 30% chance to remove stealth on opponents. So if you fight a Cheshire who has an advantage in color over him, he removes her stealth. If stealth buff was removed, he does vulnerability on that unit for 2 turns. And then, of course, he does a single target damage unit attack, and then he also generates a barrier equal to 15% of his max HP, which is actually the highest barrier percentage-wise, I believe. I believe Cersei is like 6% plus 1% for every buff the units have. So you can get higher with hers, but his as a base probably is the highest, and he's actually no slouch, part of the Teen Titans as well too, so has a pretty good setup here outside of Robin, which I'm not a big fan of. Okay, moving on. Next 4-star, Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy. I love Poison Ivy. I use her all the time. Okay, so each time she receives damage from an enemy, the enemy is inflicted with accuracy down debuff for 3 turns and attack down for 3 turns. So she probably gives 2 of the best debuffs just by being hit. It's crazy, okay? Now, when she does a single target attack, she does quite a bit of damage, and she also heals the lowest HP by 31% of her max HP, and then also inflicts damage over time, which is an incredible debuff to have for damage dealing moves. So Poison Ivy, my favorite personal DPS hybrid healer in the game, for sure. Okay, next up, Penguin. If you were looking for a purple tank, Penguin is huge. So when another ally falls below 50%, Penguin automatically does taunt for 1 turn. On the highest HP ally, that ally has 85% chance to immediately perform an assist attack. So he does a taunt buff for the person who has the most HP. Now, he himself does a lot of damage with 3 hits. If you go 64 times 3, it's quite a bit. And he also grants himself a taunt buff for 2 turns. So if you're looking for an alternative to Beast Boy without the AoE but massive single target damage, Penguin is incredible. Plus, he is part of the villains. Here, the Arkham's Most Wanted, which is some of the best units in the game. So if you're looking to do that synergy as well, really, really good unit to focus on, okay? So Penguin is another one you don't want to sleep on. Definitely get him up there. Batman is going to be your go-to purple AoE damage dealer with accuracy down. He works with Waller really well. Huntress is going to be your go-to DPS for purple for single target. And you can see here, whenever she does a power move, she has an 85% chance to increase her dodge and critical up for 3 turns. Whenever she dodges, she has an 85% to receive stealth. This is where, in PvP, if you fight her, you want to have Blue Beetle against her, okay? Here, though, she has a single target attack for 129. If Huntress has stealth, this attack can't be dodged. Inflicts dodge down on the opponent for 5 turns. So really, really powerful multiplier as well. As you increase here, she becomes one of the hardest hitting single target damage dealers in the game. Amazing with Batman and Waller and Catwoman. If you put that synergy of purple units, you have yourself a very powerful team. All right, moving on here to Ultra Humanite, a really good healer for the villain side. You can see here, every time he's inflicted with a debuff, there's a 40% chance to remove the debuff and apply it to the originator instead. This is very unique, and I love this skill personally. Attack a single target by 81, heal the most wounded ally by 16% of his max HP, not as much as obviously Poison Ivy's, who's 31%, but he also grants immunity and heal over time on the target for 3 turns, so no more debuffs, and also healing over time. So really, really good unit. He actually used to revive. They took that away. He was way better before. Just so you guys are clear on that. So they actually did nerf him. He was a lot better back in the day. Nightwing's decent. I mean, he's okay. I'm not really going to talk much about him. Killer Croc's also a really good alternative for a tank. Let's give him a little bit of love here. Immune to crits, that makes him kind of unique for all the tanks. Each time Killer Croc is attacked, he has a 65% chance to lose 3% of the HP to inflict damage over time. So he does do damage over time on the opponent. And he also does a 5-turn taunt. So a good backup unit, and he's also part of the Suicide Squad. So if you plan to build them, he's actually a pretty essential part to that team. See, the problem is it's a red, green, and a purple. I feel like she still has a place in here because she can do the buffs to all of them, but I wish they gave her another purple with the Suicide Squad. Okay, there's that. And then let's keep going down. I will be honest with you guys, I have not played too much with these units here, but I can tell you Parasite, incredible. I have played with him on another account. Each time Parasite receives a buff, he has a 50% chance to gain 1% defense. Each time Parasite is inflicted by a new debuff, he has a 50% chance to gain 1 attack. It's a pretty crazy passive, guys. Not to mention, every time you remove a debuff from a single enemy and apply it to self, you remove a buff, attack target does 90%, heal self for 50% of the total damage, and grants himself taunt. So really, really good with a Waller purple team. Highly recommend getting him up if you have Parasite. Really, really good unit. Don't sleep on him, okay? Deadshot, amazing single target damage, part of the Suicide Squad. Donna Troy's just a mini Wonder Woman. Not a big fan. So there you guys have it. Let's talk about Deadshot real quick, actually. So Deadshot ignores half of the target's defense. While Deadshot is acting on an enemy who has taunt, he has 20% more crit rate stat bonus, so he does more damage, obviously with crit rate, or at least a better chance to do a crit. Attack a single enemy by 109%, cannot be dodged. On a critical hit, Deadshot sacrificed 3% of his own HP to convert a red tile into a red target special tile, which means it's one of those vertical horizontal ones, right? So really good unit, incredible DPS, part of the Suicide Squad. So if you're looking for more reds, that's who you want to go with. So there you guys have it. That is the 4-star. So let's go over this again. Flash number 1. I'd say Beast Boy and Penguin number 2. Number 3, Poison Ivy. Number 4, Blue Beetle. Number 5, Batman Huntress. Number 6, Parasite for sure. Actually, no. Number 5, Parasite. Number 6, Batman and Huntress. Number 7, Killer Croc. Number 8, Deadshot. Those are my suggestions on 4-star units, guys. So those are all the 3 and 4-star units you should be building. These 3-star units, guys, by the way, will push you very far in the game. 4 stars will even push you further, obviously. And then we'll do a whole separate video on the 5-star units. This is Payne. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you in the next one.